Street lights smear across the windshield, and the radio keeps drifting between stations, like it can't decide what kind of loneliness this is. The heater hums against the silence, while rainwater races down the glass. I missed my turn 10 minutes ago, but I don't really care to turn back. A late night diner glows beside the highway, blue neon trembling in the dark, and every empty intersection feels like somewhere we once were. Some roads feel endless at night, even when you know exactly where they lead. The radio between stations, soft static filling up the car, like all the words we never finished, still floating somewhere in the dark. And your voice keeps crossing through me, like headlights slipping through the rain, half remembered, half imagined, but never gone completely away. I stop beneath an overpass to watch the city breathe below, tiny windows flickering softly like tired stars nobody notices. You used to love these sleepless drives with cheap coffee balanced in your hands, saying nighttime made the whole world feel quieter and more honest. Funny how certain memories only return after midnight. The radio between stations, low piano buried in the hiss, and every passing song tonight feels almost shaped like this, like winter air inside old jackets, or perfume fading from a seat, tiny ghosts surviving quietly in places people leave behind. Maybe love doesn't disappear suddenly, maybe it breaks apart softly into sounds, into streets, into nights you keep driving through alone. The radio between stations, as dawn begins to stain the sky, and the rain finally grows lighter above the sleeping traffic lights. I roll the window down slightly, let cold air fill the empty space, while somewhere far beyond the highway, morning slowly takes your place. The static disappeared for just a second, then the silence came back clearer than before. The apartment smells like dust and rain, and somewhere outside a bus sighs into the empty street. I open the bottom drawer tonight, looking for a charger I misplaced, but underneath old receipts and letters I found your Polaroids again. Your smile caught in faded colors, summer trapped in tiny frames, the edges curled like quiet secrets time is trying hard to erase. Funny how memories survive inside hide the things we forget to throw away. Polaroids inside the drawer, little frozen pieces of light. You laughing underneath station signs at nearly 3 in the morning. And now the room is filled with shadows, and the piano downstairs plays low, while I hold the past between my fingers, trying not to let it show. There's one where your hair was soaked from rain, standing outside that tiny bar. You said the city looked romantic when the streets reflected cars. Another from a coastal highway, wind pulling softly at your coat. I remember you singing badly to songs you barely even knew. Back then forever sounded simple, like something we could accidentally keep. Polaroids inside the drawer, tiny worlds that still stay warm, like old cafes after closing, when the lights are almost gone, and every faded shade of color feels softer than tonight somehow, like love belonged more naturally to who we were back then. I used to think moving on meant learning how not to look back, but maybe healing is quieter than that. Maybe it's being able to remember without disappearing inside it. Polaroids inside the drawer, the city turning silver blue, morning slowly finding its way through curtains we once chose together. And for a moment I can almost smile at the people we used to be, two lonely hearts glowing softly inside unfinished memory. I placed the photos back carefully, like they were still a little alive. The pale yellow light turned on across the alley long before the sunrise came, and suddenly the whole street felt less lonely. The bakery opens before morning, while the city still dreams in blue. Someone inside ties on an apron to the sound of soft old jazz. Warm bread scent drifts through the rain air, mixing with the smell of coffee nearby. And every glowing window above the street looks half asleep against the sky. I watch from the cafe across from it, hands wrapped around a cooling cup, listening to the piano breathe low, like the night's not ready to give up. Some places feel gentle enough to survive even the saddest nights. The bakery light across the alley burns soft against the fading dark, like a small promise the city makes to every tired and lonely heart. And your memory moves beside me in the steam above my tea, not heavy like it used to be, just quiet company. A delivery truck rolls slowly past, splashing silver through the street. Someone laughs behind open the kitchen door, then silence settles in again. You used to love early mornings before phones and crowded trains. So dawn was the only honest hour before the world remembered pain. Now I sit here watching flower dust float beneath fluorescent light, thinking how strange it is that healing can look this ordinary sometimes. Funny how life keeps beginning again, even while we're still learning how to let go. The bakery light across the alley turns golden as the morning grows, and the rainwater on the pavement reflects every color softly below. While the cafe fills with strangers escaping cold from outside, I realize loneliness feels lighter when you stop fighting it all the time. Maybe peace isn't dramatic, maybe it's this: warm bread, low piano, rain drying slowly from the street. The bakery light across the alley stays glowing through the early dawn, while buses wake the empty avenues, and another sleepless night is gone. Still the piano keeps moving gently underneath the clinking cups and rain. Like somewhere inside all this quiet, my heart is learning warmth again. The first loaf came out just before sunrise, and the whole street smelled alive for a moment. The neon sign outside keeps trembling, like it's cold from all this rain. And somewhere in the back of the cafe, a record spins too slowly. There's fog collecting on the window from the warmth inside this room. I trace little rivers through the glass, trying not to think of you. The couple near the counter laughs, like the world still works somehow, while I hide behind my cooling tea and the midnight piano sound. Some nights move gently, some nights barely move at all. Neon between the raindrops, your reflection crossing mine. For a moment I could almost believe you were still somewhere nearby. But the city keeps on breathing, and the traffic pulls you away, like colors running softly at the end of a rainy day. The waitress stacks the empty cups without looking in my eyes. Maybe she's seen this kind of silence too many different times. Outside umbrellas bloom and fade along the silver avenue, and every passing pair of headlights feels like another version of you. Neon between the raindrops, your reflection crossing mine. For a moment I could almost believe you were still somewhere nearby. But the city keeps on breathing, and the traffic pulls you away, like colors running used to think love disappeared loudly, like storms or shattering glass. But sometimes it leaves quietly, like warmth fading from a coffee cup. Neon between the raindrops, the window turning blue and gold, and the piano keeps on playing for the hearts that still come here alone, while outside the streets keep glowing beneath the tired autumn rain. I watch your memory blur slowly into the lights again. The record ended 20 minutes ago, but nobody asked the silence to leave. Rain slides slowly down the glass. The jazz is soft, the night moves past. Your coffee stain still marks the table wood. The waiter folds the closing sign, but leaves the corner lamp alive, a quiet gold against the blue, the kind of light that once held you. Your scarf is gone from by the door, but I still look for it somehow. Funny how a crowded room can make a heart feel lonelier. So I stay under amber lights tonight, listening to the piano breathe between the silence, and your chair still waits across from mine, like your shadow never learned to say goodbye. The steam has faded from my cup, like all the words we gave no voice. Outside the taxis blur in rain, inside your memory stays warm. I still remember how you smiled, with both hands wrapped around your tea. Every little thing in here still speaks your name so quietly. So I stay under amber lights tonight, listening to the piano breathe between the silence, and your chair still waits across from mine, like your shadow never learned to say goodbye. Maybe love survives this way, and tiny echoes left behind, and fingerprints on porcelain, or songs that close the cafe late at night. So I stay until the last song disappears, while midnight hums against the rain outside the window, and your chair still waits across from mine, like part of you is somewhere in this room tonight. The door moved once around 2:30, and for a second I thought it was you. blue light trembling on wet pavement. The city feels farther after midnight. Even the wind sounds tired tonight. There's a vending machine beside the station, buzzing softly in the cold. I stand there warming both my hands around a can I barely hold. A taxi disappears through rainwater, red taillights bleeding into black. And every stranger passing by looks like someone not coming back. The night gets quieter after 2, like the whole world's trying not to wake the lonely. Under the light above the vending machine, I still think about you sometimes. About your laugh fogging up the winter air while trains disappeared down the line. And the city glows in silver silence beneath the clouds and telephone wires, like something beautiful still breathing in a world that never really stops being tired. Old voice note lives inside my headphones, somewhere between songs and static noise. I almost play it every evening, then lose my nerve before your voice. The convenience store across the street flashes red and pale green light, while someone sweeps the empty sidewalk at the edge of another sleepless night. Maybe healing isn't moving on, maybe it's learning how to carry things gently. Under the light above the vending machine, I still think about you sometimes. About the warmth of your gloved hands on nights that felt too cold to survive. Now the last train shakes the silence and vanishes beyond the rain, leaving only distant echoes in this quiet ache I almost can't explain. You once told me winter felt romantic because the cold made small things matter more. Hot coffee, warm lights, someone waiting beside a door. Under the light above the vending machine, snow begins to drift again. Tiny white pieces disappearing the second they touch the cement. And for a moment all the streetlights blur like watercolor in my eyes, while somewhere deep inside the city another lonely piano plays tonight. The drink went cold before I finished half of it, but I stayed there anyway. The arcade near the river still glows red and violet after midnight, even though nobody really comes here anymore. Rainwater gathers by the entrance under flickering signs and tangled wires. Old racing games hum quietly like tired dreams refusing to retire. A claw machine blinks in the corner, full of faded stuffed toys. And somewhere deeper in the building, a broken speaker leaks static noise. You once dragged me in here laughing, just to escape the storm outside. Your soaked hair shining under neon, like the whole city had softened for the night. Funny how happiness feels brightest right before it becomes memory. At the arcade near the river, your shadow still moves beside me, between the flashing colors and soft machine lights, like we're frozen somewhere in our 20s. And the rain keeps sliding down the windows, turning every reflection blue, while the city slowly empties itself into another sleepless avenue. A pinball machine lights up suddenly, though nobody touched a thing. The sound echoes through the silence, like a ghost trying to sing. Outside, bicycles hiss through puddles past convenience stores and trains, and every passing umbrella feels stitched together from old rain. I remember you said this place felt lonely in a beautiful way, like all forgotten things still wanted somebody to stay. Some nights nostalgia arrives softly, like music drifting from another room. At the arcade near the river, the neon flickers tired and slow, and your laughter keeps returning in tiny bursts of afterglow, while the old jazz cafe next door lets piano spill into the street. I stand beneath the humming sign and let the midnight wash over me. Maybe growing older feels like this, watching places survive long after the versions of ourselves who loved them disappeared. At the arcade near the river, the machines finally fall dark one by one, and dawn begins collecting quietly along the edges of the sunless sky. Still the rain remains on the pavement, silver beneath the waking trains, while somewhere inside the empty building our younger voices still remain. The last neon sign shut off at 4:26, and the river carried the colors away. The laundromat on 8th Street still glows pale blue after midnight, like it forgot the rest of the city already went to sleep. Washing machines spin in circles, soft humming underneath the rain, and every chair beside the window looks lonelier after 2 a.m. A woman folds somebody's sweater without lifting tired eyes, while static from an old small radio drifts slowly through fluorescent light. There's something comforting about places that stay awake for strangers. At the laundromat on 8th Street, your memory turns around again, like clothes tumbling through warm water that never quite come out the same. And the rain keeps sliding softly down the fogged up window pane, while the whole world feels suspended somewhere between healing and pain. You used to hate doing laundry, but loved the smell of clean cotton sheets. Said fresh fabric felt like proof that small things could still begin again. Now sit here with a paper cup, watching colors blur and spin, trying not to think how easy it was to slowly lose you then. Funny how ordinary places become sacred after heartbreak. At the laundromat on 8th Street, the dryers breathe like distant trains, and the old piano from the cafe next door leaks softly through the rain, while outside the traffic lights blink red against the wet concrete. I keep tracing little circles on the warmth left in my seat. Maybe love isn't dramatic in the end. Maybe it's quieter than that. A missing toothbrush, an empty sleeve, a machine still turning after someone leaves. At the laundromat on 8th Street, morning slowly stains the sky, and the neon sign above the doorway buzzes weakly. One last time I fold the final load in silence as dawn settles on the avenue, and somewhere in the spinning rhythm I finally stop chasing you. The machine stopped all at once, and suddenly I could hear the rain again. Someone left coins beside the piano, and the bartender stacking glasses slowly, like he's trying not to disturb the sadness in the room. There's a melody still hanging softly between the speakers and the smoke, an old jazz record turning quietly under tired amber bowls. You once pulled me by the sleeve here, laughing halfway through a song, saying every lonely city needed somewhere warm to belong. Back then, the night felt endless, like nothing beautiful could fade. But the song we never danced to still drifts across the room tonight, like your shadow moving slowly just beyond the edge of light. And the piano plays so gently, I can almost feel your hands, like we're still two tired strangers swaying in each other's silence. The waitress wipes the counter clean while rain taps softly on the door. Outside, the traffic thins like memory, till the city barely breathes anymore. I watch reflections shake in puddles, neon breaking into blue, and suddenly the smallest things start reminding me of you. Funny how some places keep loving people after they leave, and the song we never danced to still lingers in the cafe air, like unfinished conversations floating somewhere between nowhere, while the saxophone keeps crying low and midnight gathers near. I sit beside your absence like it's something still alive in here. Maybe that's what love becomes, not fireworks, not promises, Just certain songs you can't hear again without stopping for a second. And the song we never danced to fades slowly with the closing lights, while chairs are turned upon the tables and dawn waits outside. Still the melody keeps circling, soft as winter breathing through. Like somewhere in another lifetime, I finally danced with you. The record skipped once before it ended, and the whole cafe went quiet. There's an old cigarette machine behind the bar that probably hasn't worked in years, but its red neon still glows faintly after midnight. The bartender polishes the same glass slowly, while muted jazz drips from dusty speakers. A woman in a velvet coat reads alone beneath a hanging amber lamp. Rainwater gathers near the entrance, carrying reflections from the avenue. And every time the door swings open, cold air moves through the room like memory. Some places feel suspended in time, like they're waiting for people who already left. By the cigarette machine behind the bar, I still hear your laughter sometimes, soft as smoke dissolving upward into the dim and tired light. And the piano plays in slow motion, like it's scared of reaching the end, while the whole cafe keeps breathing for hearts that don't know where they belong yet. He used to steal my cigarettes, then complain about the bitter taste, saying Windsor made everything romantic as long as somebody stayed. Now the ashtray beside the counter holds tiny gray remains of night, and every glowing match reminds me how briefly warm things survive. Funny how loneliness feels heavier in rooms designed to comfort people. By the cigarette machine behind the bar, the neon trembles blue and red, and strangers drift through half-finished conversations like ghosts too tired to disappear yet. While outside the buses hiss through rainwater under flickering traffic signs, I keep watching the doorway, like part of me still expects you inside. Maybe some love stories don't collapse, maybe they slowly evaporate into smoke, into music, into nights that smell like rain and whiskey. By the cigarette machine behind the bar, the jazz record finally slows, and the owner flips another chair upside down as closing hour quietly unfolds. Still the piano lingers somewhere underneath the city's sleepless skin, like all the lonely souls tonight are trying softly not to give in. The neon shut off just before dawn, and suddenly the room looked older. I almost deleted your number like it still remembered something my heart shouldn't. The apartment hums with refrigerator light, and the city leaks through half-closed blinds. A siren fades somewhere downtown, and everything goes quiet again. There's a voice message still unsent, sitting beneath your name. 3 minutes full of broken sentences and breathing I forgot to hide. Maybe some words sound safer when nobody hears them. So I let the phone ring softly into the dark blue morning air, listening to the distance between us stretch like smoke somewhere. And your silence feels colder than the rain outside, like an empty seat beside me on a slow and sleepless night. The kettle clicks in the kitchen, but I leave the tea untouched, watching headlights crawl across the ceiling like ghosts that never stay too long. I used to know exactly how your laughter filled a room. Now even memories echo differently after midnight passes too. Strange how losing someone changes the sound of ordinary things. So I let the phone ring softly into the dark blue morning air, listening to the distance between us stretch like smoke somewhere. And your silence feels colder than the rain outside, like an empty seat beside me on a slow and sleepless night. I don't think I wanted answers anymore. I just wanted to hear that your voice still existed somewhere beyond these walls. Now the voicemail light keeps blinking like a tiny fading star, and the piano from the cafe downstairs drifts upward through the dark, while the first string cuts the silence through the early silver dawn. I finally press delete and let the ringing disappear alone. The sky turned pale around the windows before I realized I never called. The heater clicks against the quiet, and somewhere outside, snow begins to touch the rooftops. Your sweater still hangs by the hallway like the season never changed. Soft wool carrying traces of your perfume in December rain. I should probably pack it somewhere, folded into some hidden drawer. But every time I reach to move it, my hands forget what they were for. Some things disappear all at once, some things leave slowly. And your sweater still smells like winter, like coffee steam and downtown lights, like the nights we stayed awake too long, talking softly past midnight. Now the room feels twice as quiet every time and the fabric sways so gently, like you're walking through here again. The record player near the bookshelf spins an old familiar tune, piano notes drifting through the apartment like smoke beneath the moon. I water plants you used to name and leave one side of the bed untouched. It's strange the little habits that survive after love gives up. I thought healing looked dramatic, not this silent kind of ache. And your sweater still smells like winter, like rain against a taxi door, like your head against my shoulder in the grocery store at 4. Now the city glows beneath me, blurred in amber through the blinds, and I wear your absence carefully, like a coat some nights. Maybe memory isn't painful because it hurts. Maybe it hurts because it was warm once. And your sweater still smells like winter, though February's nearly gone, and the snow outside the window melts before the break of dawn. I finally take it from the hanger, hold it close against my chest, while the radiator hums beside me, like it understands the rest. Morning light touched the kitchen floor before I let go of it. The flower shop on Maple Street turns its lights on before the sun comes up, and the whole sidewalk smells faintly of wet roses and rain. Buckets of tulips by the doorway catch pale reflections from the road, while someone side trims flower stems to the sound of quiet radio static. I stop beside the cafe window with cold hands buried in my coat, watching steam rise from paper cups into the soft blue morning air. You used to love this hour of the city, before the noise and crowded trains set dawn made everything feel honest, even hearts carrying hidden pain. Some mornings arrive gently, like they already know what you survived last night. At the flower shop before dawn, the roses glow beneath white light, while rainwater slides through sleeping streets and taxis disappear from sight. And your memory feels softer here, less like loss and more like rain, something passing through quietly without asking the world to change. Wraps pale yellow lilies with movement slow and careful, like fragile things deserve tenderness even after they've been cut away. The cafe piano through the alley moves low beneath the hum of traffic lights, and suddenly the whole street feels like a dream trying not to wake too soon. Funny how healing never announces announces itself. It just appears one quiet morning at the flower shop before dawn. The windows blur with silver mist, and every flower facing outward looks lonelier after nights like this. Still the city keeps unfolding, soft and gray beyond the rain, while I carry all our old Decembers more lightly than before today. Maybe love doesn't end completely. Maybe it changes form into songs, into weather, into mornings you survive alone. At the flower shop before dawn, the sky begins to fade from blue, and the first train shakes the silence somewhere far beyond the avenue. I buy a single white carnation just to carry something delicate home, while the rain finally stops falling and the world no longer feels so cold. When the sun touched the rooftops, the flowers looked almost unreal in the light. The bookstore across the street still has one lamp left on tonight, and rain keeps gathering in the cracks of the sidewalk outside. I'm sitting by the cafe window, watching pages turn through the glass. An old man shelves forgotten novels, like he's protecting pieces of the past. The piano near the counter trembles, low and warm against the rain, and every cup stacked in the kitchen sounds softer after midnight fades. Some places don't ask questions, they just let lonely people stay a while. The bookstore across the street still glowing gold against the blue, like somewhere stories keep surviving even after people do not. And your memory walks beside me through the fog upon the avenue, soft as worn out paperbacks and coats still damp from winter afternoons. You used to disappear for hours between the poetry and travel shelves, running fingertips across old bindings, like you were searching for another version of yourself. Sometimes you'd read lines out quietly without looking up at me, and somehow the whole cafe would feel warmer itself inside moments that once felt ordinary. The bookstore across the street, now reflected in the puddle road, while taxis drag long silver ribbons through the sleeping afterglow. And the jazz guitar keeps breathing slowly under hanging amber lights, like the city's trying gently to keep fragile things alive tonight. Maybe heartbreak is an emptiness, maybe it's carrying too much tenderness for places that no longer know where to put it. The bookstore across the street turns off its final light at 4, and suddenly the rain feels colder than it did a minute before. Still the piano keeps on playing, soft enough to blur the dawn, while somewhere beyond the quiet windows, life slowly continues on. The owner locked the door and disappeared upstairs, but I kept watching the darkened shelves for a while. The streetlight flickers outside your apartment, like it's trying not to fall asleep. And the whole block smells faintly of rain and cigarettes. I took the long way home again tonight, past the grocery store we used to know, the one that stayed open past midnight, with jazz leaking softly from the radio. Your building still glows on the 3rd floor, warm against the winter blue. And for a second I forgot there's probably somebody else beside you. Some memories arrive suddenly, like songs you haven't heard in years. The streetlight outside your apartment still burns pale gold in the rain, like it's waiting for 2 shadows to pass beneath it once again. And the city keeps breathing quietly through subway noise and passing cars, while I carry all these unfinished feelings like loose change in my heart. A cat moves underneath parked taxis, steam rising from the sewer grates. Someone laughs behind a curtain and disappears behind the blinds again. I remember you loved this neighborhood because it never slept too deeply. You said lonely people needed somewhere that stayed awake beside them quietly. Funny how places continue existing after the people inside them change. The streetlight outside your apartment shakes softly in the freezing air, and every glowing window above me feels like a life while snow begins to mix with rainwater along the dark dark electric street. I keep walking slower than necessary, like leaving would mean losing you completely. Maybe moving on isn't dramatic, maybe it's smaller than that. Walking past familiar places without expecting the past to open the door. The street light outside your apartment finally flickers once, then dies, leaving only pale reflections swimming in the midnight sidewalks. And somehow in the sudden darkness, I can breathe a little more, like even memories grow quieter when you stop standing outside their door. The bakery on the corner opened at 5, and the sky slowly turned the color of smoke. The pharmacy sign keeps blinking green across the empty intersection, and rainwater trembles every time a bus passes through. I'm standing underneath the shelter with cold coffee in my hands, watching steam rise toward the streetlight and disappear into the dark again. A newspaper rolls along the sidewalk like something trying hard to leave, while the city hums beneath the silence in soft fluorescent dreams. You used to miss the last bus often just to keep talking through the night, saying lonely streets felt kinder under tired winter lights. Funny how certain corners of a city can remember people better than we do. At the bus stop beneath the pharmacy sign, your shadow still arrives sometimes in the reflection of passing windows, or headlights crossing puddled lines. And the rain keeps falling softly on empty benches painted blue, while the whole sleepless avenue feels shaped around the ghost of you. Somebody in a business coat checks their watch beneath the rain. A teenage couple shares one umbrella, then disappears beyond the train station gates. The traffic signal changes colors for cars that never come, and somewhere from an upstairs apartment, a trumpet plays low and lonesome. I remember how your hand stayed warm even during January storms, like somehow you carried summer hidden quietly beneath your skin. Some memories fade loudly, others stay like weather. At the bus stop beneath the pharmacy sign, the world feels silver after 3, like every tired stranger here is waiting for something they can't keep. And your memory drifts beside me, soft as smoke above late night cafes, while dawn gathers slowly somewhere beyond the rain and elevated trains. Maybe heartbreak is just this, learning how to stand moving forward anyway. At the bus stop beneath the pharmacy sign, morning slowly stains the clouds, and the first bus finally sighs its way through streets still wrapped in fog. I let 3 empty seats pass by me before I finally step inside, watching the city blur behind me like a dream dissolving with the night. The rain stopped somewhere near the river just before the sun came up. The first bus just passed outside, leaving a long trail of water across the street. And the cafe smells like fresh bread and yesterday's rain. The window beside me fogs so easily from the warmth of my untouched cup. I draw a line across the glass, then wipe it away before it becomes too much. Someone in the kitchen drops a spoon, and the sound rings through the quiet room like tiny accidents matter more when the world is barely awake. Morning always arrives so gently here, like it's trying not to disturb the lonely people. At the table by the fogged up window, I still think about you sometimes, about the way your sleepy laughter used to soften all the hard parts of my mind. Now the city slowly brightens in silver, pale and faded gold, and your memory drifts around me like warmth disappearing from cold hands. The baker across the narrow street pulls metal shutters toward the sky, and somewhere above the traffic noise, a church bell trembles once then dies. I remember how you loved mornings before the crowds and all the noise. You said early light made people honest before the world remembered its voice. Funny how certain sentences stay alive longer than people do. At the table by the fogged up window, the piano moves low and blue, and every note sounds like it's carrying some forgotten part of you. While strangers step inside for coffee, shaking rain from heavy coats, I sit here with the quiet feeling that love survives in little ghosts. Maybe we don't lose people completely, maybe they scatter into places, into songs, into mornings, into the smell of rain on wool sleeves. At the table by the fogged up window, the daylight slowly fills the room, turning empty cups and wooden chairs into something strangely beautiful. And for a second life feels softer than it did a month ago, like healing isn't moving forward but learning how to sit with what you know. The fog on the glass disappeared with the sun, but I stayed there a little longer. stopped around sunrise, leaving the windows pale and silver, and the cafe smells like burnt toast and fresh coffee again. And old memories of paper slowly near the table by the wall, while sunlight stretches across the floorboards like nothing happened at all. I stir your favorite kind of tea, though you're not coming anymore, watching little curls of steam disappear beside the door. It's strange how mornings keep arriving even after something ends. And the smoke from your tea still rises softly in my mind, like conversations we forgot to finish somewhere back in better times. Now the sunlight fills the cafe where your laughter used to be, and everything feels warmer except the empty seat beside me. The girl behind the counter hums a melody I almost know. Outside bicycles cut through puddles under skies beginning to glow. I used to think forgetting someone would happen all at once, but healing moves like quiet seasons, too slow for eyes to catch. Maybe hearts don't really break, maybe they just learn new shapes. And the smoke from your tea still rises softly in my mind, like winter breath against cold windows, fading little by little with time. Now the morning traffic's moving and the world keeps carrying on, while I sit here with the silence, trying to become someone new again. There was no final screaming, no shattered glass, no dramatic ending scene, just two tired people growing quieter inside the same dream. And the smoke from your tea turns golden in the morning light, while the piano near the counter plays slow and bittersweet tonight. And for the first time in a long while, the memory doesn't hurt the same. It just passes through me gently, like sunlight after rain. The cup cools slowly in my hands, but I didn't feel cold anymore. The rain stopped an hour ago, but the cafe still smells like wet wool and coffee beans. And somebody keeps playing the same piano. Your coat used to hang beside mine near the old wooden entrance door, dark fabric carrying traces of cold night air and cigarette smoke. Sometimes I still catch that scent in crowded trains or passing strangers, and suddenly the whole city folds into a version where you're not gone yet. Memory works quietly until it suddenly doesn't. The smell of rain on your coat still follows me home some nights, through empty elevators and sleepless kitchens, under pale apartment lights. And the piano in this little cafe moves outside, the midnight traffic slides silver through the cold. A couple near the fogged up window shares cake without saying much. The girl keeps drawing little circles in the condensation with her thumb. I remember how you loved silence when it felt safe between two people, like nothing needed proving as long as someone stayed. Funny how love feels endless right before it quietly changes shape. The smell of rain on your coat, like winter caught in woven thread, like the nights we missed the last bus home and walked instead. Now every passing storm reminds me of the warmth we used to know before goodbye became a language we both learned too slowly to let go. Maybe healing begins here, not in forgetting, but in surviving ordinary moments without turning them into grief. The smell of rain on your coat fades softer every month or two, till it feels less like heartbreak and more like a season I once knew. And the cafe lights grow dimmer as chairs lift onto tables one by one, while dawn waits quietly beyond the windows, like forgiveness waiting for the sun. When I stepped outside, the sidewalk still held the rain a little longer. The dishwasher stopped 10 minutes ago. Now all I can hear is rainwater slipping through the gutter outside. Chairs are upside down on tables, the neon sign already dimmed. Someone forgot a scarf near the window, and the whole cafe smells faintly of cinnamon. I stay longer than I need to, tracing circles on my cup, watching reflections in the counter glass disappear each time I look up. There's a kind of loneliness that only shows itself after closing time. After the dishwasher stops and the last train's gone away, your memory gets louder in the quiet that remains, and the tiny yellow ceiling lights blur softly in my eyes, like little pieces of the evenings we never realized were goodbye. Counts tomorrow's change while humming something old and low. Outside the streets are nearly empty, silver from the recent snow. I remember how you used to wait with cold hands wrapped around your sleeves, talking about impossible futures like they were easy things to reach. Funny how dreams sound warmer before winter finally arrives. After the dishwasher stops and the city heard your footsteps every time the door makes sound, but the room keeps growing softer and the coffee scent grows thin, till all that's left beside me is the shape your absence fills. Maybe some places become sacred simply because somebody loved us there once. After the dishwasher stops and midnight turns the windows blue, the piano player packs his music and nods softly as he leaves the room. I stay a little longer, listening to the radiators sing, while snow drifts past the empty streetlights like quiet unfinished things. The cafe finally went dark, but I could still remember where you used to sit.